Welcome to Classic Mosaic Truth. Have you ever wondered why just trying to force yourself to build a new habit or break an old one almost never works? Well, today we're going to dig into a century-old secret about willpower that really turns that whole idea on its head. So let's start with a frustration I think we've all felt. You decide you need more willpower, right? You want to stick to a new habit, you want to finish a project, or maybe just change how you react to things. So you resolve to try harder, you grit your teeth, but the change, it just never seems to stick for long, does it?
Today we're going to explore this really powerful idea from an author named William Walker Atkinson, and it completely reframes this entire struggle. He basically argues that the very belief that you need more willpower, well, that's the trap. The will itself is not the problem.
We've got three simple goals for this explainer. First, we're going to shift your entire perspective on what will actually is. Second, we'll get into the true role of your mind and how it's more like an instrument. And third, and this is the best part, you're going to leave with an immediate, actionable exercise you can use today. Okay, let's dive in.
So, Atkinson's core insight, the real secret of the will, is that most of us just fundamentally misunderstand the relationship between our will and our mind. We tend to think they're the same thing, but they're not. Not at all. The key is to see a really clear separation here. Think of the will as this vast, universal power source, kind of like a city's electrical grid. It's always on, always available, and it's practically infinite. Your mind, on the other hand, is the instrument. It's like a trolley car that has to be trained to raise its little pole and make a clean connection to that overhead wire to even get moving. You see? So the problem isn't a lack of power. It's an untrained, maybe clumsy, or even just a mentally lazy instrument, that's the mind, that's failing to make a clean connection to all that power. The mind is the instrument, and if it's not well maintained, the will just can't express itself effectively. So the crucial point here is this. You don't need more will. You need to train your mind. And Atkinson has this brilliant comparison. He says this training is just like building a physical muscle. It's not about wishing you were stronger. It's about actually developing that strength through practice. And just like with physical exercise, it's the consistent mental practice that creates real, permanent strength. You could say that every time you consciously direct your mind, you're doing a rep. And inaction, just letting your mind drift passively, well, that leads to mental weakness.
Atkinson's #1 tool for this mental training is something he calls autosuggestion. Now, today we might think of this as a form of intentional self-talk, or maybe an identity-based affirmation. It's really about consciously choosing the thoughts you want to impress upon your own mind. He suggests a simple but really potent phrase, I am using my willpower. The idea is that by repeating this with focus and intent, you start to press this new identity into what he calls the wax of the mind, making it a constant source of inspiration, kind of like a new default setting for yourself.
But this training isn't just about repetition. It also requires a really critical shift in how we approach our goals. It's about moving from passively wanting something to actively willing it into being.
Atkinson is super clear on this point. Weak, scattered wishing achieves absolutely nothing. It's just mental energy getting zapped in a dozen different directions. A focused will, though, is active and decisive. It channels all of your mental energy toward one single, clear objective.
And this is the core dynamic. A strong will gets activated by a strong, focused desire. It's the huge difference between vaguely wanting something and making the conscious decision to direct all your mental power toward it. That decision, right there, is what changes everything.
So this all sounds great in theory, but how do we actually start? Well, Atkinson doesn't just leave us hanging. He provides a simple but incredibly powerful exercise to begin strengthening your mind's ability to act.
And look, this mental training isn't some abstract thing. It applies literally everywhere. It's the force you use to push through a tough project at work, or to just pause and respond calmly in a tense conversation, or to go to the gym when your motivation is at absolute zero.
So we're going to call this the Will Channel Drill. It's a modern take on his core exercise, and the instruction is incredibly simple. Just perform one small, disagreeable task each day. Something you'd normally put off.
The steps are simple, but they're profound. First, identify a tiny task, making that one phone call, cleaning that one drawer, sending that one email. Second, state your intent clearly. Third, and this is so key, do it cheerfully, no complaining. And finally, acknowledge what you just did. You cast a vote for a new identity, for someone who is in control of their own mind.
Now, it is crucial to understand that the goal here is not to make yourself miserable. This isn't self-punishment. It is about proving to yourself through these small, consistent actions that you are the sovereign of your mind.
So, as we wrap up, what's the most important thing to take away from this whole explainer on the secret of the will?
It's this. Stop trying to get more willpower. Instead, start training your mind to use the immense power you already have. The strength you're looking for isn't out there somewhere to be found. It's right here, waiting to be developed inside you. You are the sovereign of your mind.
So that leaves us with a final thought. What is that one small task you can perform today to cast the first vote for this new version of yourself? Thanks for tuning into this explainer. If you found it helpful, be sure to check out the next one in the series.